Hi guys, Super Cameraman here. This is the last leaks from Season 25 this year. As we can see, we have 4 new shots, and today we will talk about them too. But in today's video, I would like to speculate with you what would have happened if the scientist had not been killed in episode 70. And more precisely, what were the consequences of this? What would have happened to Astro toilets? How strong the race of Skibidi toilets would have been? You'll find out all that and more right now. But before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe, and here we go. Before I start the main topic, let's break down these spoilers. In the first frame, we see an interrogation scene, but from a different angle, as we see this is a continuation of that frame. Next, we are shown the chair, which looks very epic. As we know, the chair appeared in the series from episode 75, when the detective tried to get on the trail of the secret agent. On the third spoiler, we can notice the huge Astro toilet that Cameraman's POV spotted. There's nothing here that we're interested in. In the fourth frame, we notice G-Man, who is very tired, and it feels like a troll plum, but unlikely. Also, there was another spoiler from Fan-Made Strider which showed the lab and the process of Plungerman's recovery. Now let's get to a very interesting theory about the scientist. First, let's break down the fan-made, and after that, let's start speculating on what changes could happen in the series. The fan-made begins with the same shots we saw in the middle of episode 71, namely the arrival of the Alliance Air Force, the finding of a strange device on one of the rocks, and the appearance of G-Man and his assistants. At this point, the most interesting part begins, as when G-Man already wants to finish off the cameraman's POV, the surviving Skibidi Scientist flies up to him. Most likely, the Titans weren't around at that moment, and thanks to that, the scientist managed to escape from the infiltration squad through the overhead hatch that we were shown in part 3 of episode 70. The scientist asks G-Man something, after which he nods approvingly, and the scientist goes down somewhere and comes back in his new suit, which is almost no different from the old one, except much worse armed. Fan-made ends with Mecha Scientist activating his TV and POV Cameraman dying. Now let's discuss what the positive and negative consequences could have been if Skibidi the Scientist hadn't died. In episode 72, along with the other members of the G Squad, there would have been the scientist himself controlling his new mecha costume and would have certainly helped G-Man in his battle with Astro Scorpion and possibly the Titans that came up later, and together they might even have been able to defeat one of them, such as Titan Cameraman or Speaker Man, but definitely not TV Man, because at that point in time, he was very strong and almost impossible to defeat. Also, G-Man and the scientist would have gotten the Astro Scorpion Claw, which could have given G-Man an advantage, because knowing the intelligence and genius of Skibidi the Scientist, he would have been able to implement this claw for G-Man, and G-Man would have been able to use it in the battle against the Titans in episode 73, and most likely he would have been able to defeat the 3 of them, although not without the help of the scientist. In episode 74, we would be shown how not only G-Man is improved, but Mecha Scientist as well, as he is much weaker than G-Man and needs improvement. In addition, this improvement would be beneficial because they will have to fight Astro toilets in the future. The Skibidi toilets themselves would also benefit, as both the scientist and his assistant Kleiner have a brilliant mind that would allow them to invent and create a huge amount of weaponry that would allow not only G-Man and the scientist to take part in battles, but also other Skibidi toilets, which would also increase the chance of victory. In episodes 75 and 76, the situation would be much better, because now both G-Man and Mecha Scientist are very strong, and they have huge allied forces in the form of other Skibidi toilets, which will allow them to dominate Astro toilets. And if they also join forces with the Alliance, Astro toilets arriving on Earth will be quickly exterminated and wait for new ones, destroying them in different parts of the world. As for the events of the 77th episode, here we'll be helped by another Spider-Round fan-made, which we'll analyze right now. The fan-made begins at the end of the first part of episode 77, when Michael Jackson chops off Astro Toilet's head with his claws, after which he screams, "Skibidi mutant with lasers approaches her and throws her at the approaching Astro Toilet. The battle with the other Astro Toilets begins, but then a teleportation smoke appears behind us, from which an improved mecha scientist appears. From his improvements immediately stand out two laser cannons, which are apparently much better in characteristics, in contrast to the old one. Also noticeable is the improved laser on his right temple, as well as his armor, which is now improved and can hold blows much better. The scientist attacks the Astro Toilets with lasers, causing them to explode and die, falling to the ground. 3 more Astro Toilets come after them, but they can't do anything because the scientist's armor is very strong and the Astro Toilet's cannons are too weak to penetrate it and do damage. The scientist attacks them with his sonic wave and destroys them with his laser. But now there are more Astro Toilets, namely 2 Astro Interceptors and 1 Astro Carrier. The scientist pulls out 2 more lasers from behind his back and starts attacking the Astro Interceptors, while the Astro Interceptor activates its shield, preventing itself from being penetrated. The Astro Toilets attack the scientist, but he manages to reflect some of the projectiles back, using ultrasound from the speakers. The scientist then removes his main speaker and pulls out a TV, activating a red glow. The Astro Interceptors try to escape, and one of them even succeeds, but the other one is less lucky, and the scientist destroys him. Astro Carrier manages to defend himself with his shield, and then he also flies away. The scientist smiles as he surveys the area, but when he spots the agents, his expression changes dramatically. The mutants also smile, but the scientist fires his laser at the spider cam, destroying it. The scientist laughs and says, "Dispose of them." The mutant with the lasers gestures and asks, "Why?" To which the scientist says, "They're already useless." Skibidi Toilets is saddened, whereupon the cameraman is killed by the mutant with the chainsaw. All of this we've been watching on behalf of an unknown cameraman on a camera woman tablet, as evidenced by the number on the tablet being 069. Sniper Cameraman looks at us, waving his head negatively, after which POV Cameraman walks outside. There's another cameraman standing at the entrance, and a little farther away one of the cars and a lot of agents. Meanwhile, 2 cameramen helicopters and 1 modified Astro Toilet design cameraman plane arrive at the base. POV Cameraman runs up to Cameraman Woman and points at the tablet, handing it to her. Camera Woman wants to take it, but then Skibidi DJ flies into the base. He activates an ultrasonic wave, causing the nearby camera spider to fly away and explode. DJ attacks the POV Cameraman, but we are protected by Big Cameraman with his shield, and the regular agents fire their guns, which doesn't help much, but then the cameraman car comes to the rescue and shoots right at DJ. Another camera spider flies to the rescue, but is shot down by a flying Michael Jackson, and the spider falls, dying in the process. After Michael Jackson, a Skibidi mutant with lasers flies in. He throws 2 bombs that explode, and our POV Cameraman flies off to the side, losing both legs. A large cameraman tries to attack Michael Jackson, but Skibidi Mutant with a saw flies up, turning all attention to himself. Another cameraman shoots at the mutant but doesn't kill him, and a Skibidi Mutant SWAT appears behind the cameraman and kills him with his sickle. The second cameraman pulls back his gun and picks up a large dagger, and using his jetpack, Mutant flies at the mutants with another cameraman covering him from behind. But he had to be distracted by Skibidi the Mutant with lasers, who decided to go around Big Cameraman from behind. Mutant turns around on him, but then Camera Woman comes at him from behind, attacking him with her 4 lasers. The mutant decides to fly just at her, while Big Cameraman with his dagger is killed by the missiles fired at him. POV Cameraman turns back and sees that Sniper Cameraman is also dead, and Mutant with lasers is holding Cameraman in his hand, then flies off with DJ and Mutant with saw, further shutting down completely. In this fan-made episode, we were shown that the scientist did not support the alliance between the Skibidi Toilets and the Alliance. However, if Defuk was doing the episode himself, I'm more than sure that in his storyline, the scientist should have supported the alliance between the Alliance and the Skibidi Toilets, because he realizes that without this alliance, it will be hard for them. And if they unite, it would be much easier to fight against the Astro Toilets, especially now that the Alliance has lost all the Titans. And that was the last video in 2024. Very grateful for this year, because this is the year I got to know all of you, namely 25,678 viewers. Thank you so much for following the channel. I love you all very much. May all your dreams and plans come true next year. May God bless you. And we'll see you next year. I'm a super cameraman. Good luck to everyone, and bye.